What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus package update and daily news report for Friday, April 1st. Now, today may be April 1st, but nothing that I'm going to say in today's video is part of an April Fool's joke. This is all serious, this is real, okay? So let's get right into it. First, we did get the monthly jobs report. This came out today. We actually increased our jobs by 431,000 jobs. That's very good. The expectation was actually 490,000. Our unemployment rate actually dropped once again to 3.6%. The expectation was 3.7. That is very good as well. Now, here's where things are actually not as great as what they could be. Hourly earnings, these are average hourly earnings. These rose by 0.4%. This is right along with expectations. But on a 12-month basis, wages increased only 5.6%, meaning they're still below our 7.9% inflation rate. Now, this is something that the Federal Reserve is looking at because our wage growth and inflation, these two numbers could indicate a wage price spiral. So this is something that they are looking into, but as of right now, it does not look like it is too concerning. So that's good news there. But what is looking quite possible at this point, okay, is right now with inflation, with shrinking savings, and the possibility of a housing market downturn, many are actually returning to work. They're returning and filling those 11 plus million open positions. This is great, but even as this happens, millions of workers are essentially taking a pay cut as inflation is expected to continue to run hotter for the next few months. So that's not the greatest news, but at least people are getting back to work. So that's something there. Something else that's very worrisome as well is the fact that our yield curve again today has inverted once again. Now, the U.S. 2-year Treasury has actually inverted with the U.S. 10-year Treasury. The last time this happened was back in 2006. And I don't think I need to remind you of what happened in 2008 and 2009. But again, when we had this financial crisis, there were indicators on the wall that said, yes, we are headed into a recession. But many people didn't look at those because, well, housing market's hot. People were working, right? Stock market was doing well. Everything was good, but it quickly turned. Now, the 2 and 10-year Treasury, okay, the yield here, this is just one of the indicators that investors look at to determine if a recession is likely. And at this time, unfortunately, a recession is looking more and more likely. Okay, it's not a guarantee, but according to multiple economists, they believe a recession is inevitable. Okay, that's even coming from one of the Federal Reserve, or I think out of St. Louis, I believe. Could be wrong, but it's one of those. Now, why does all this matter? Here's why this matters so much. When we are seeing some wage growth, but not enough, we are expecting a recession. We are still seeing inflation run hot, right? We still have supply shortages. We have a war going on between Russia and Ukraine. When all these things are happening, many believe it could take anywhere from 6 to 12 months to get out of where we are currently at. We could be in a recession right now, but we won't know. We will not know until we are actually in it for about 3 months, or 3 to 6 months, really. Now, this is why many lawmakers are continuing to push President Biden and say, we need to pass your economic agenda. They say right now they feel that the pieces of this bill would actually benefit the American people in tough times. But here's what President Biden is talking about. President Biden isn't really pushing his economic agenda, but he wants to see a new billionaires tax. But I want to explain why this new billionaires tax could eventually could impact the middle class and even the lower class or lower income earners as well. Because what you need to understand is if a billionaire is taxed more and they're seeing a hit to their net worth, guess what they're going to do? They're going to start hiking prices. You think Elon Musk wants to see 20% of his income just go away, his net worth just go away? No, probably not. I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to be worth more than $200 billion and then see all of a sudden there goes 40 plus billion dollars of my money. That would be devastating. But let's raise the prices on Tesla a little bit. Let's raise the prices for for his internet, right? Let's raise the prices. Let's start doing that. Let's see Mark Zuckerberg. Let's start raising prices. Let's start charging a little bit more for ads, right? That's what we could see. Here's the other thing that most people don't realize is that what happened back in 1913, Congress actually passed an income tax law that anybody that made over $500,000 would pay 7% of their income, or 7% more on that income. But then this quickly changed in order to pay for World War I. An income over $100,000 was taxed at 25%. Now, what you need to keep in mind here is that when a tax is implemented and the government is put in a path of higher revenue, they don't want that to stop. Just like if you were to receive, let's say you go to your job and they say, oh, today you're going to be making 5 times the amount of money that you normally make. Guess what? You're not going to want to go home that day. And when you come back to work the next day, you're going to want to do that job, right? So essentially what's going to happen is lawmakers are going to continue to increase the amount of people who are taxed at that rate, which eventually is going to impact the middle class. And at some point, the lowest income earners will be affected. So this is why passing a billionaire's tax to some is not a good idea, because it starts out as a billionaire's tax, because that's exactly what it did. Then it went to the wealthy, right? Multi-millionaires and billionaires, right? And then there was even reports of a millionaire tax. Okay? So this is the issue, is where does it stop? And if you thought paying for stuff now was difficult, then just wait and see what happens if your income is taxed at a higher rate. You're not going to like it. Now, here's something else that is happening. House progressives are actually pushing President Biden to get his stalled agenda revived. They actually met with him on Wednesday, and here's kind of what they went over. They really want to make sure that a vote is going to happen on this bill sooner rather than later. They say that this has to happen because what they're actually doing is calling on President Biden to pass his priorities, because if they don't, and he doesn't, it could hurt them in the midterm elections. Well, they are tired of waiting for Congress. They say we cannot wait, and they are urging President Biden to pass priorities through executive order. Now, here's a list of some of the things that progressives want President Biden to move on. First, and I don't know if this is the most important one according to them, but this is just first on the list, is to cancel student debt. This was a promise that President Biden made when he was running for president, and he said he would cancel up to $10,000 in student debt. He has yet to do that, and we have about a month left before we should have an answer. They also want to address raising the overtime threshold, lowering prescription drug costs. Again, all these are expected that he could do these through executive order. They want to expand renewable energy to decrease reliance on fossil fuels, and fix the Affordable Care Act family glitch to expand access to health care. Those are some of the things that they want him to really focus on. And again, all these things, at least according to multiple reports, can be done through executive order. So we'll see if it actually happens. But here's what you need to understand. Democrats, specifically progressive, because they have their progressive priorities and they've been promising these huge bills for quite some time. But what they want to see happen is they're telling President Biden that the future of our country will depend on what President Biden passes before the election. They say this because one of the big promises, again, was for giving up to $10,000 in student debt. Well, today's April 1st. We have until May 1st to decide or figure out, do students go back to paying their student debt? Or the other issue is, does President Biden and the Secretary of Education, do they extend the payment pause past May 1st in order to hopefully gather more information, see what's really going to happen, get all their ducks in a row. That's what many people wonder. And at this time, according to White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain, he said about a month ago that we will have an answer before the payment pause expires, which is on May 1st. So in 1 month, we should have an answer whether the payment pause gets extended or if President Biden is looking into student debt forgiveness. So again, this will be big, but we will see what happens. Now, here's something else I really want to address, because this is something that I think a lot of people are completely missing out on, is grocery prices are going to get more expensive and you have to be prepared. Now, a lot of people are wondering, well, okay, prices keep going up, but what do we do about it? Well, here's the thing. You have to plan accordingly and plan ahead. The expectation is that food prices will increase more than 4% by the end of this year. Okay? Just a second, I'm going to give you a list of some of the things that the USDA is saying are going to increase in price. But first, understand that if you are prepared, you are gardening, you can do indoor gardening, you can also do outdoor gardening. Okay? Grow fruits, grow vegetables. Now, I don't think you're going to go and open a farm and start raising your own cattle. But again, you could grow fruits, you can grow vegetables, you can buy in bulk. And split it with multiple families. I remember doing that when I was younger. Okay, you go to these wholesale stores, buy big bags of cereal, and then like 3 or 4 families would split it up, so we'd get a better price. Right? It's possible. You can do that. But here's what the USDA is saying: fresh fruit is going to increase by 5 to 6%. Sugars and sweets will see an increase of 3 to 4%. Fats and oils are going to see an increase of 6 to 7%. Processed fruits and vegetables will see an increase of 4.5 to 5.5%. Cereal and bakery products will see a 3 to 4% increase. And the non-alcoholic beverages will increase by 3.5 to 4.5%. Now, again, this is why I highly recommend you grow whatever you can, buy in bulk, use discounts, use coupons. Figure out a way to save money, because right now, as prices are going up, wages are not going up as high, and we still have many issues with the war in Ukraine, with our supply chain shortages, with COVID, because COVID is still a thing. All these things are going to impact us, all right? So if you have any questions on any of this stuff, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But this is serious. We have to get our finances in order. We have to do this now, because if you wait, I promise you, it's going to be very difficult. Okay? So do what you can. Be ready just in case we do dip into a recession. The expectation is if we do, we're not going to be in a recession for years. It could potentially be a handful of months. But again, I want you to be prepared. I want to make sure that you are on the right track. So if you have any questions whatsoever, ask your questions down in the comment section below. Again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.